After a hearty Thanksgiving meal, coffee and pie go together like coffee and pie. But does pie go in coffee as well? Hello, food freaks, and welcome to That's Rank. Canadians have finished their Thanksgiving meals, and despite being even more stuffed now than the turkeys themselves, what's that? Well, by God, it's a miracle, and our dessert stomachs have opened just wide enough to cram a little extra something into our chutes. And with that said, it is coffee and pie time. Now, of course, my favorite pie at this time of year is always the pumpkin pie, but the fact is, pie is an infinite canvas in flavor design, and the fine people at Slice Coffee know this better than just about anybody. So today, we're gonna take a look at their entire lineup of pie-flavored coffees with Blackberry Pie, Blueberry Pie, Coconut Cream Pie, Pumpkin Pie, Apple Pie, Pecan Pie, Razzleberry Pie, and Grasshopper Pie. You know, I don't even know what those last two pies are, but I guess we're gonna find out together. Bottoms up, guys. And let's go ahead and start with the pumpkin pie flavor because, frankly, it's that time of year and we've been rolling in hot and heavy with the pumpkin spice stuff now for weeks on the channel. And for today's exercise, I added some Splenda and just a little bit of 2% milk to each one of these coffees because that's normally how I take it. I freaking love the K-Cup era of coffee drinking because I really like getting all the weird flavored coffees of the world. Now, let's be clear, I'm not a real coffee person. You know, I've never taken a single semester of coffee in college, and you're not gonna catch me perusing the aisles of a fancy store wondering where the beans were grown and whether or not they were pooped out of a weasel like the Kopi Luwak coffee. So usually for me, just find me the cheapest donut store blend of coffee and I'm gonna consume a whole lot of it because frankly, I don't sleep nearly enough at night. And part of that problem might be due to the fact that I drink a whole lot of donut shop coffee, but c'est la vie. But then, just to mix things up, anytime I see a sale on weird coffee flavors, you know, I'm in. Not that pie is a weird flavor, but in coffee, it's definitely exotic. The only coffee flavor that existed when I was a kid was Folgers, and if you didn't brew it, you know, you'd face the wrath of Harold.
Harold, is the coffee all right? You mean it's as bad as yesterday?
What do you say we give this a try and see if it's worthy of Harold's discerning palate? It's all right. So I may have made the personal mistake of thinking that it was going to be in the realm of a pumpkin spice latte, and it's definitely not. It's a pumpkin spice flavored coffee, and there's a critical difference there. And honestly, I'm nowhere near as crazy about this as I am with a PSL, and to me this is actually a little bit disappointing. For me, it's a D-tier coffee. I wouldn't buy it again, I wouldn't seek it out, but it's not like French roast level bad, which is F-tier coffee. Well, that was an unexpectedly bad start to today. But let's move on to the oh my goodness. Anyway, let's move on to the Blackberry Pie. Canada, oddly not big on the Blackberry Pie. We have some places that do stuff like wild berry pies, which is a mix of blackberry, blueberry, raspberry, that kind of thing, but you don't often see blackberry as a standalone. And I don't think I've ever actually had one, but I've eaten tons of blackberries. Oh. That's unexpectedly interesting. Well, maybe not unexpectedly. I don't imagine there's too many blackberry coffees on the market. Expectedly interesting. So I think with the pumpkin pie one, the issue was the weird spice blend included, but we've got none of that going on in here. It's just a tart berry flavor with a little bit of sweetness, and it works really nicely. I really like this one quite a bit. I don't think that I expected field berries to go really well with coffee, but guys, here we are. It's somewhere between the B tier and the A tier for me. I'm not gonna go halfsies on you, it's B tier. It's not one of my all-time favorite coffees, but it's definitely one of the most unique ones that I've ever had. And I'd be game for somebody like International Delight to make a berry-flavored coffee creamer and see how that turns out. All right, let's keep the berry train moving and roll on into the Blueberry Pie. And now my eyebrows are raised and my hopes are high after that blackberry one was so good. Now, Blueberry Pie, absolutely prevalent up here. This is wild blueberry country here in Canada. Crazy thing that I actually read recently though is apparently farming blueberries is only like a 100-year-old practice. Farmers couldn't figure out how to domesticate them properly, so the general public had no idea what the heck a blueberry was. And then, you know, 100 years later, here we are artificially pumping them into our coffee. It's a crazy game. Oh wow, that's even better than the blackberry. What I really like about this, and I think the milk probably wound up amping it up some, is that it gives off this blueberries and cream thing, which is a classic dessert, quite frankly, severely underrated. And then it pairs so nicely with this light coffee. It gives enough room for the blueberries to breathe and mix a little bit with the milk and the sweetener. It's fantastic. This jumps us easily into the A tier. It's a really solid flavored coffee and one I could see myself drinking on a regular basis. Blueberry coffee together, who knew, right? But this is why we do the taste tests. We never know until we have it. Let's move off the berries and move into the coconut cream pie. And this one, I could see this absolutely working. Coconut creamers are already super popular. Both International Delight and Coffee Mate have them, as well as offshoots like Almond Joy, you know, that sort of thing. Even Starbucks has coconut milk as a milk option, and it is great. Like, for the non-dairy crowd, that should be your milk of choice, not stupid-ass oat milk. Unless you're into the flavor of, like, oatmeal in your coffee, which, if that's the case, you do you, boo. But seriously, try the iced coconut milk mocha macchiato, but just make sure that you order it on the app, because it's really hard to say. Come on, that was about as sure a bet as we were gonna have today. Sweet coconut, coffee, come on. Of course it was gonna get the job done. What I'd absolutely love to do with this is pour it over some ice into my tumbler and then just lay sprawled out in the backyard like a beached whale, getting some sun and drinking my coconut coffee like I harvested it myself from Maui. Granted, I wouldn't do it right now because it's like 4 degrees outside. I probably shouldn't even be filming this out here, to be honest with you, because I'm gonna get sick. I'm just not ready to move inside yet. Anyway, I'll stick with A tier on this one because I don't feel it's special enough to propel it into the hallowed S tier grounds, but it's definitely knocking on the door and begging to be let in. And maybe on the right day, it could have slipped past the bouncer, but I'm on my game today, guys, making sure that only the elite are the ones coming to the S tier party. Because remember, it ain't no party like an S tier party. All right, let's make things a little bit more Thanksgiving traditional and have us some apple pie. I legitimately have no idea where this one's gonna fall because apple has such a wide spread from a flavor perspective. It could easily wind up tasting like one of the best coffees on the planet, or crash and burn and make you wonder if it was ever meant for humans to take a look at it. Basically, apple is like the coffee version of the New York Mets. Never change, Mets, never change. Okay, I'm freezing my dinner rolls off. Let's just do this thing. Today it's the Mets. So it's apple-y, but it's a super weird apple-y. It's missing the cinnamon, it's missing the sugar, all the components that you would expect inside of a warm apple pie. None of that's here. It's like they took a couple of apple slices, freshly picked from the tree, dunked it in here, and let it steep. So it tastes weird. If I was the one making an apple pie coffee, I would definitely look to add those components, but I'd probably make it a caramel apple pie coffee, maybe even a salted caramel apple pie. You know, I realize that salty coffee might sound really strange, but, you know, at the same time, I feel like it might actually work. The salt would help cut the rich caramel out just a little bit, but none of that really happened. I'm literally drooling over a coffee that doesn't exist. D tier. It's just a really poor display all the way around, and I'm let down because I know you can do better. I've had better. Now maybe Pecan Pie is where they get some redemption today. Oddly, or maybe not, given that pecans don't really grow up here in Canada, but it's not the thing up here that it is down south. Like, you can find it, but it's not an option you're gonna find in every single place that sells pie. What is huge up here is the nut-free version of pecan pie, which is sugar pie. And the French do that better than anybody. It's huge in Quebec because their twist is that they add a little bit of maple syrup to the brown sugar base. Come on, guys, you had to expect that. It's Quebec. They drink maple syrup like it's soda. None of this should shock you at this stage. Like, do not even get me started on sucre à la crème, which literally translated means creamed sugar. It's like they saw fudge on sale somewhere and thought, you know, this is great, but I need to make it like 18 times more potent. You do not want to eat that stuff without a quality dental plan. You'll be sorry. Anyway, none of that has a thing to do with pecans, so let's get back on track. Is it pecan or pecan? I say both because I speak a regional dialect that can largely be described as, huh? I change my enunciations from sentence to sentence without warning, and my lack of consistency even confuses my own brain. I might wind up spitting out things like pecan because I short-circuited. It's so-so. I'm not crazy about it though. Mostly I find it uneventful because if you promise me a pie-flavored coffee, I'm expecting a lot more. This is almost like a basic roast. I'm not getting a lot of other flavors standing out in here. There's a little bit of hint of like brown sugar, which I'm assuming is their interpretation of a pecan pie, but it's hardly showing up in here at all. I'd put this in the C tier because while I'd absolutely drink it again, you know, it's fine. It's just bland for a flavored coffee. Because you can't really taste any of the flavors in here, you can almost treat it like a coffee shop blend and mix in whatever flavored creamer that you're trying that day without worrying about them not going together. And that leaves us with our two weirdo coffees, and I'm gonna save the Grasshopper Pie for last. Let's give a go to the Razzleberry. All right, I cheated a little bit. I paused the recording for a moment because I wanted to Google to see what Razzleberry was. But you know what? I'll leave the Grasshopper as a surprise pie for myself afterwards, because that should be fun. Anyway, it turns out this is basically a wild berry pie in essence, which I talked about back when I had the Blackberry one at the top. So it's raspberries, blueberries, and blackberries, which sounds pretty good to me. I love wild berry mixes. Like I frequently buy that at Costco when I'm in my smoothie mode. So Razzleberry Pie, I'm in. I was admittedly a little afraid it was gonna be the schnozberry from Willy Wonka movies, but you know what? If it's the schnozberry, maybe it'd turn out that I like it. And if I do like schnozberry, then I'd have to alter my online dating name. That's, I don't think that's wildly far from the Blackberry, actually. Hang on, which one is this one? Okay, it's a little bit different, but it's pretty close. So, same general principle between these two. It's just a tart berry inside of a coffee, and I like that. So, it's about the same. Now, what in God's name did I rate that? It's been about 10 minutes. My memory does not extend anywhere near that long. I legit can't remember, but I'm feeling B tier with this because I'd drink it again and I'd even buy it again. It's tasty and frankly, I like it. And that brings us to our final coffee of the day, the Grasshopper Pie. And this totally has to be a Southern thing, right? Because it sure as heck isn't Canadian. I've never in my life seen a Grasshopper Pie advertised, and I've been to plenty of diners and bakeries. Kind of smells like toothpaste. I don't think I've had a mint flavored pie in my entire life, and I'm trying to picture how that would even go. Like it would have to be some sort of mint pudding thing like in the pie, right? Because you can't chop up straight mint into the pie. That would be gross, unless it was like mixed in with some strawberries or something. You know, there's no point in speculating. We got it right here. Let's give it a go. Oh, okay. Definitely some mint and something else as well. I think it's chocolate maybe? Like it feels like it's trying to tiptoe on the line of being a mocha. This thing actually feels like the lighter version of a Peppermint Mocha. And look, I love me a Peppermint Mocha, but this isn't hot chocolate and it's not espresso, but it tastes like it's trying to be like a distant cousin. Not a very popular cousin, the cousin that nobody ever talks about. C tier for me on this one. I feel like it's got a world of potential, but like a few of the others, the flavor is just a little bit weak. Assuming that chocolate mint was what we were in fact going for here, I'm still not sure. Okay, so I couldn't control myself and I went ahead and Googled it. And yes, it's a creamy mint filling inside of an Oreo cookie crumb crust. And that's something that I want. Why have I never had that in my life? Why have I never heard of it? And which one of you is gonna make that for me? Well, as a Thanksgiving dessert, today was definitely a mixed bag. Still, I think ultimately I would recommend sliced coffee because there's enough really good stuff in here to make it worth your while, if you're a flavored coffee fan like I am. And if you're not a flavored coffee fan, well, thank you very much for watching just to keep me company here today. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, well, now it's kind of mandatory because you made it this far, and sorry, you and I were just bonded together for life. Just the rules, guys, and I know that you're not a rule breaker, so get it done, which will push my next video out to you, and you can keep me company there as well. And when that happens, I'll see you then.